Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Chair of our Peacebuilding Commission, Ambassador Jan Jinga, our esteemed representatives of the General Assembly, of the President of the Security Council for this month, President Rhonda King, President of ECOSOC, and our representative for the chair of the G5 Sahel. Excellencies, our esteemed guests from the African Union and from the Sahel region, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking the government of Romania as chair and the whole Peacebuilding Commission for focusing this year's annual session on the Sahel, and more especially for inviting me to be part of this important interaction. This session and your joint session with ECOSOC tomorrow on climate security in the Sahel are opportunities to reiterate our commitment to addressing the multidimensional challenges in the Sahel region in a coordinated, comprehensive, coherent and efficient way. I visited the Sahel earlier this year with a joint UN-African Union delegation, and we were joined by Sweden's Foreign Minister Margot Wallström. We found the resilience of the Sahelian people not only inspiring but humbling. Their wish and hope for sustained peace and security was clear, as was the need to ensure women are meaningfully included in all initiatives and policies. We met women who had been terrorized by extremists and women who had been married off in childhood. We also spoke to women who were supporting extended families and helping to build community resilience, and women religious leaders that were working to end child marriage and prevent radicalization and extremism. We met women peace builders, mediators who were driving change and working for a more sustainable future. Their voices will be essential in peace negotiations and decision-making processes. Their experience and their leadership will be essential to building a new Sahel. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, preventing and resolving conflicts and crises, reducing risk and building resilience for sustaining peace are shared responsibilities of the international community and the UN system. In order to achieve peace and sustainable development and to shift from delivering humanitarian aid to reducing and ending humanitarian needs, we must tackle the root causes of conflict and crises. These are found in discrimination, human rights violations, weak governance, conflict, and the impact of climate change. Only a collective, integrated, and inclusive approach, owned and led by countries of the region, will support sustained progress towards the lasting peace and development that are so urgently needed in the Sahel. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development really does offer just an approach, and the Sahel region will be the litmus test. If we fail for the most vulnerable in the Sahel, we fail a generation of young people and the future of peace in that sub-region. And it's as simple as that. Fortunately, we also have a robust framework to support the governments and the people of the Sahel. The UN integrated strategy mandated by the Security Council has been recalibrated to better adapt to the rights and priorities of the people of the region in the context of the 2063 Agenda and the 2030. The UN support plan for the Sahel was developed in close consultation with the Sahelian countries and partners, including the G5 Sahel, the African Union, the European Union, the Alliance, and the World Bank, all to advance the implementation of the integrated strategy to try to foster coordination, mobilize resources, and ensure that development aid reaches people who need it most. One of the overarching goals of the UN support plan is to shift the narrative around the Sahel and turn challenges into opportunities. Partnerships with governments, regional and international institutions, the G5 Sahel, communities and the private sector will be vital to stimulate investment and create long-lasting economic opportunities. Because the Sahel offers enormous opportunities, it is the most useful region in the world. It has abundant natural resources. It has great potential for renewable energy and a rich cultural legacy. However, financial and human resources still remain a challenge. The total needs to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, for instance, in this region, are estimated at $140 billion this year, rising to $157 billion annually by 2022. It is therefore imperative that we increase our advocacy and resource mobilization efforts in a much more joined-up manner. Investing in this region is vital not only as a matter of human dignity and to meet humanitarian needs, but to prevent countries that are experiencing fragility today from becoming the failed states of tomorrow. Many of these countries are grappling with threats including terrorism and insecurity that originated beyond their borders, and with climate change that respects no borders at all. At the same time, they are some of the most generous hosts of the refugees in our world today. Supporting transformative policies for stability and development in the Sahel is a matter of international solidarity and global security, if in a collective responsibility. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, women and young people must be at the center of all our efforts to implement the 2030 Agenda and the African Union's Agenda 2063. The Sahel cannot continue to deprive itself of the contributions of half of its population if we seriously want to see real progress and make a difference. Women, including young women, are agents of change. They are not only custodians of peace, they also have the greatest transformative effect on our societies. Peace that is made without women's contributions in mediation is less likely to last. Development without women in leadership roles will be slower and less successful. We must remove the obstacles women and girls face in the Sahel so that they too can lead the change. They need access to economic opportunities, knowledge, entrepreneurial skills so that they can create jobs, launch innovative tools and products, and look beyond their immediate surroundings to doing business in regional and international markets. The United Nations is making progress in this area. Last month, on the margins of the World Bank and IMF annual meetings in Bali, we launched 2 major initiatives on climate-resilient agriculture and renewable energy, all aimed at driving change and generating new dynamics in the Sahel region. These programs will build community resilience by providing access to energy, economic opportunities, with a focus on women and young people. There are 41 million young people in the Sahel. These young women and men are often portrayed either as victims or as a potential perpetrator of violence. But we know that these stereotypes are completely wrong. The landmark study on youth, peace and security published last year, The Missing Piece, found that including young people in meaningful civic and political participation is the best way to harness their energy and to build peaceful communities and societies. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, these are just some of the challenges and opportunities that we face as we seek to build sustainable peace and development in the Sahel. As I had the privilege of speaking to the Security Council earlier this year, I had said that the cost of inaction and failure in this region is really high. Poverty, weak institutions, discrimination and violence against women, including the abhorrent practices like child marriage, are creating an environment that is conducive to extremism. But we must keep our eyes on the prospect of peace in a region that has enormous potential to be a dynamic presence on the global stage. I wish us all fruitful discussions and look forward to hearing your ideas as we take forward the implementation of Agenda 2063 and Agenda 2030. I thank you.